Hello and welcome to the Inside Stylist podcast, where we talk all about interiors with interviews with interior stylists, writers and the fabulous homeware brands that make a house a home. I also catch up with industry experts in the know and get them to share all their knowledge and advice. There's so much to talk about. I'm your host, Emma Morton-Turner, an interior stylist and writer with a ton of experience. I set up InsideStylist.com so I can share all that interiors love with you. So don't forget to head on over to the website for not only the show notes from today's episode, but regular interior blog posts and a whole host of inspiration on the interior stylists and writers' profiles. But for now, enjoy the show. Today's guest is an award-winning features and lifestyle journalist with over 20 years' experience, working for national magazines and newspapers, including Look, Cosmo, Notebook, Red, Good Homes, The Mail, The Sun, Woman's Own and Glamour. When she's not testing out beds or 4-minute exercise regimes, all in the name of features of course, she can be found sharing great interior finds from the best ways to add spring to your home to creating a modern romantic bedroom. She has all the contacts and does all the features. So who better to chat to about interior writing and how to successfully get into it than today's guest. I'm very excited to be chatting with Jenny Wood.
Hello. Thank you.
I have to really concentrate to say Jenny Wood, not Woody Jen.
Yes, I know.
We met actually from Instagram. You were the first person I met in real life from Instagram. Yes. And when I met you, I just hugged you. I felt like I'd known. Do you remember?
I don't know if
it
I
was
the first time.
It was a press launch. I was coming out and you were going in.
Oh no, I do.
And I went running up to you.
Yes, no, it was like the M&S Christmas show.
That was it.
Yes, that was it.
So I'm in Jen's house, literally 20 minutes away. I've met so many people who live really close, right on your doorstep. Yeah. But we're going to talk about you being a journalist. So you are a writer.
Yep.
I know you because you do lots of interiors features. But what kind of features do you mainly do?
Well, at the moment, it's interiors, obviously, lifestyle, tried and tested, consumer pieces. But I've got a varied background, so I'll write about anything. I've written about plastic surgery. I've written about sex.
I was going to say you've written about sex.
I saw that. Sex, yes.
I like the tests you do, like the can you get fit exercising for 4 minutes a day, and
that kind of thing, experience type features. So I'll try anything. What have I done? Travel stuff. I used to specialise in true life, real life people's stories, international stories, lots and lots of health things, beauty things. I write every time that the Mail sort of needs designer handbag features. I often get asked to write those.
Nice.
I don't really know why. I kind of, if you're a decent working writer, you can become an expert and turn your hand to anything. Really, that's the beauty of it. No 2 days are the same. No two pieces are the same.
Yeah, I was going to say it's never boring. It's always different. Different features in interiors can be interesting, but different features in anything just gives you such a wide scope.
Exactly.
How did you become a writer? Did you study?
I always wanted to do something in the media, and I went and did communications at Leeds University. And while I was there, I did the student radio, I did the student newspaper, I did the television club, and I'd always kind of thought writing was where I wanted to be. And I was a mad magazine junkie. I used to subscribe to all the mags back then. Even though I was a student and had no money, I'd subscribe to Company magazine, and I really enjoyed the student paper. And that's kind of where I found my niche. So after university, I did the year-long postgraduate diploma in periodical journalism at City University in London. And from there, I was very lucky to get my first job. And then I worked on staff for, a long time, many years. And then the last 7 years since having my son, I've been freelance.
And how did you transition that? Did you have contacts and it just kind of built?
Well, I was actually made redundant whilst pregnant.
Oh my God, I should have a made redundant while pregnant club.
Yeah.
It's a very common theme.
Yeah, I was made redundant while pregnant on the Saturday magazine at The Sun. And I was only a few months pregnant at the time. I thought, no one's going to employ me. And also I knew I was going to go freelance at some point. So it just happened a bit earlier than I thought it would. And the great thing about magazines and newspapers and journalism, it's a very friendly community and everybody does know each other. Yeah. So you do have to put yourself out there a bit. So I just sort of rang up people I knew and I managed to get shifts and things before my son was born. And then the first piece I ever did for the Mail happened because a friend of a friend was shifting there, and they said, we need someone short to do a feet. And
short, not short distance, short time.
No, short in height. Yes, short in height. Who can write?
How tall are you?
Well, I'm like 5'4". I'm not
I
really tiny.
Tiny, yeah.
And then my friend who was working the office said, I know someone who's short. Jenny Wood is short. And so they wanted me to do an aerobics. Right, no, it was like exercise regime called aerobics. You can see.
Oh yes, I did see this one.
Yes. And so even though I wasn't, my baby was still breastfeeding. Bless, like my husband and my in-laws would sort of take the baby. I would run in, do the exercise classes, come out again, feed the baby, because I sort of knew this was a good break. And I wrote the piece. They really loved it, and I've been working for them as one of my clients ever since.
Wow.
So it's sometimes it is luck, but from there I work for them regularly, and then it kind of has been, it's a mixture of people I know and then mags I want to work for that I kind of contact them, show them what I can do, send them ideas, and if you're lucky they'll take you on.
Yeah, you do quite a lot of interiors things. Well, I know you from interiors, so I see the interiors things, but you probably do other things I don't always see if they're not in my world, sort of thing. But
yeah, well, the interiors thing is my sort of love and my passion, really, and that kind of came about. I had a really long stint doing lots of True Lives and things like that for Look magazine and for Company. I was so lucky that I remember the day I got my job on Company. I mean, that's the mag I used to subscribe to, and I said in my interview I was a total fangirl. This is my dream job. so yeah, I worked on Company for 6 years doing all that kind of thing, and then Look doing all that kind of thing, and I got offered the job of lifestyle editor on the Sun's Saturday magazine, and it was overseeing and editing all the homes, cookery, travel, all those beauty pages. And I really loved the home stuff, but it wasn't very good. The person who was writing it, bless them, would send in pictures in dribs and drabs. They wouldn't always be labelled with what they were. They wouldn't always be good enough quality to feature in the paper. Yeah. And they weren't always nice things, and I kept thinking, well, I know better stuff than that. So in the end, I ended up having my own column. It's called Her Indoors with Jenny Wood.
Very cool.
Which is very exciting. Yeah. Have a little headshot and everything, and that is kind of where it all started. So when I was made redundant, I thought, I'm only going to have, when I'm freelancing, a limited amount of time each week with looking after the baby and everything. And to be brutally honest, not only do I love talking about interiors, but cushions don't pull out of shoots. They don't really mind if you're going to take their photo.
When you say that, that's referring to, we were talking earlier about working for newspapers. It's very different to working for magazines. So can you talk a little about that? So when you do features that have real people in, you have to source those people.
You do, and you have to be nice and be like, these are real people, and everybody sort of has opinions and things they don't want to do. They might be really nervous. We might work in the media all the time, but for some of these people, it's the first time they've ever spoken to a journalist. And so you have to reassure them, find out what they want to get from a piece, make sure, that they're comfortable with everything. You have to obviously get their permission to take their photo, or if you want them to give you photos to put in the magazine. There's all kinds of considerations like that. You have to arrange a shoot time with them, and that has to work around their family. And then when you interview them, that can be hard for them as well, particularly if you're talking about a really sensitive subject. And so it's a big, long process, and it's a real labour of love. And then when you write it up, you want it to come across in their voice. You want them to be happy with it. You want them to feel, yes, that's exactly how it happened to me. So it is kind of a skill that you hone over quite a long time, but it's a time-consuming thing. Finding people as well. I mean, when a magazine or a newspaper will ask you to find case studies, it's easier in the age of the internet. When I first started, the internet was only really some emails.
How did you do it then? Was it like word of mouth? And
Posters up in places.
Really?
I used to get the yellow pages out and ring companies who might be related to the sort of thing I was looking for.
It's almost like investigative.
It was.
Investigative? Right,
I had to try and find places where there were lots of people. So, for instance, like I had a friend in the Boots PR team, And she would sometimes put posters up in the Big Boots canteen at their headquarters and stuff like that. So you had to be really inventive. And if you were, I don't know, trying to get someone young, I might sort of put them up in some big youth centres. It was like posters and things like that. It wasn't, you couldn't really post something up on a Facebook group or whatever.
Now people say,
yeah,
does anyone know a mum in her 50s who had a baby and has a husband from...
and has one leg,
France, and
fell out a tree on her 18th birthday,
and I need them tomorrow,
yes,
and they need to come on a shoot,
exactly, So it was quite hard, but that was a good learning experience.
I was going to say you can probably turn anything out in an instant after doing that.
When I worked on Look, we were up against other magazines, and it was exciting. If there was, I don't know, some big natural disaster on the other side of the world, it would be my job that week to find a girl in the Look age range who'd been there, who was British. That, it was an exciting job to do, and it was, interesting, and you really felt like you're doing real news. But if I'm sort of honest now, and I'm working freelance at home, that kind of thing you just can't do, from home. Well, you can. There are people who are great at it, but for me, it doesn't quite work. And also, I kind of done that, and now I get to do the fun stuff.
Pretty stuff.
Now I get to talk about paint colours and sofas, and that's great. I mean, I've always been really lucky to do the job I always wanted to do. Really lucky to have been in magazines and newspapers in their real heyday, and really lucky now as well to get to do such fun stuff.
Yeah. What's your favourite thing to do?
I do like where you find designer doubles. I quite
really,
I kind of again.
So that's like the spend or spree sort of thing. You got the same item, one's expensive, one's inexpensive.
I quite like that, because if you find something that really looks like it and it's a total bargain, I love that. I mean, I love a bargain anyway. But so you're asked to match a sofa that's £3,000, and then you find one that's 300. Yeah, brilliant. I love those. I also love gift guides.
Yeah, gift guides are brilliant.
Because it's like window shopping.
Yeah.
I always love gift guides. It's all the things that I would like to buy.
Interiors gift guides or all gift guides.
Oh yeah, any gift guides.
Candles,
obviously, interiors would be my favourite.
Yeah. I can completely get that. So, if you could write any feature at all, what would it be? Like no holds barred.
Well, if we were talking about interiors, I suppose I'd quite like to see inside some of the Hollywood stars' homes. I quite like, I love, who doesn't love a bit of interiors porn, and I always like, Mandy Moore's house inside,
that's incredible.
All the Architectural Digest type stories. So I'd love to see inside some of those that haven't. Obviously, Keanu Reeves would be my top, but not obviously because he's some kind of design icon. His interiors, I'm sure, are as stunning as he is. I mean,
it's so funny. I really didn't think you were going to say.
Yeah, I'd like to see his house. For reasons other than his cushions.
Just make sure your husband doesn't hear this.
Yeah.
One.
He knows.
He knows. Yeah.
He knows.
Husbands always know. So you mentioned just now about kind of how you make things work. You've got 2 children who are quite young. How do you do you kind of structure your day? Do you work on days when kids are at school, or how do you make it work?
I mean, this is the eternal question, isn't it? It's really tricky for anybody, freelance, whether they've got kids or not. Life gets in the way. But so my oldest is now 7 and he's at school, and my youngest is 4 and she won't be at school till September. Obviously, come then it'll change, but she's at nursery 3 days a week, so I give myself a 3-day official working week. I'll be at my desk those 3 days. My son will go to after school club or football club on those 3 days. So I've got three
long days.
However, I still do the school drop off and things, which means I can't often go to press breakfasts or things that happen early in the morning unless I have to make special arrangements. So you just have to accept. I don't know, the Colour of the Year launch is happening at breakfast at 8:30 and I have to accept I can't go to that. So that's, I don't, and again, I don't know that will actually change when they start school. That's reality of, life. And also if I go on a photo shoot or something like that, I have to make sure I've left in time to pick them up, albeit it'll be at 5 o'clock when I can pick them up. still have to always make that train. But like anybody with kids, you have a network of, I'm really lucky where I live, our neighbours are all friends, people go to the same school. There's always somebody I could call on if the train was broken down. There's somebody who could get my daughter from nursery, or someone who could pick up my son and keep him at their house, and he'd be happy. Yeah. So you have to work around that. But having said that, freelance life is that, I'm officially working 3 days, but you're officially working 7. You're unofficially working 7 days.
7.5. Yeah.
Yeah. I work in the
late
evenings,
nights when the kids are in bed,
weekends, and you kind of need a supportive partner if you're with somebody for that. Luckily, it's the football season at the moment. There's always a game on that my husband can watch if I'm working, as happened last night, in fact. But the thing is, work doesn't always come in. And as any freelancer will tell you, you're always worried where the next piece is coming from, or if you turn someone down too often, then you might not get another piece. So I am guilty of saying yes, probably. Yeah. Sometimes when I shouldn't. But so I'll work. But I quite like that.
I think we all do that.
I've always been even at university, I used to only start writing my essays 7 o'clock the night before, and I'd still be there about 3 a.m. on the Pro Plus doing it. So that's fine. I work under pressure, but work doesn't always come in on the 3 days that I would like it to.
Yeah, so you have to just juggle it all.
Exactly.
On top of juggling everything. Yeah.
But that's what you get used to it. You get in a swing and you get your systems. And I think that's the thing, get your systems and don't be afraid to ask people, because they'll ask me back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's very true, actually, because it took me quite a long time to ask people to have the girls and stuff. And actually, I have no problem helping other people. It's that asking for help yourself. Sometimes it's like, what's my problem? Don't be silly. It's ridiculous. People love to help. So
we all do that.
So normally, when I'm interviewing stylists, I ask them about disasters on shoots and things that go wrong. Do you have things that have gone wrong in the past?
Yeah, I mean, things go wrong. I mean, it's again, that's it can be exciting, but I think
not at the time.
Not at the time. No, I mean, when I was doing people's true life stories, people would sometimes just get the spooks, or you usually show the copy to them or read it back to them after you've done the interview, and sometimes they just don't like it, or they've changed their mind, and it doesn't matter whether your monthly magazine is going to press the very next day, which has happened. It's that's totally their right,
and it has to get pulled.
And it has to get pulled.
What do you do?
Well, if
cry, find someone to
go and have a little cry. But I mean, if you're organised, you have some spare feature tucked up your sleeves. Oh, okay. If not, well, that's where it gets exciting. You have to run around and do some proper journalism and find something to fill the gap. There's always something to fill the gap. It might not maybe be as exciting or as
sounds terrifying.
Good as you would have wanted. Terrifying. Yeah, it is terrifying, particularly I think when you're on staff and you've got your boss breathing down your neck. Oh, very scary.
I'd imagine
honestly.
Newspapers are quite fast-paced, scary places.
I've never worked, luckily, doing real lives on newspapers, but hats off to the people who do, because that's hardcore. When I was doing real lives, it was on magazines, and you've got a little bit more breathing space, even on a weekly, although the clock is ticking. And if you are a sort of fly by the seat of your pants kind of person, that's
you get like the buzz from it
a little bit. I'd much rather the weeks that went smoothly. But so people have pulled out, people haven't liked things. The other thing is as well, if you're a writer, you have to understand there are some things that are beyond your control. So the headline, for instance, there was an awful story it was a true life story of somebody who'd had CJD, the mad cow disease, and this was back in the days when that was the big scare story, and it was a real big thing. She'd never spoken to anybody. She really liked the story, but as the writer I wasn't in control of the headline, and the headline was a bit brutal, and it didn't go down well. And the problem is that all of us on staff sort of knew the headline wouldn't go down well, but the editor was sure that she wanted to put that as the headline. Unfortunately, when the mag came out, it didn't go down well.
You're the one. You're the point of call.
Yeah, and you feel you've let someone down, and So, but I mean, all these things you learn from. I did a real life story of a close friend who'd done an amazing thing. She'd adopted a little girl from Russia who only has one arm. She was born without both her legs and without her other arm. And my friend, who's a physiotherapist, was visiting the orphanage in Russia where this little girl was, and just fell in love with her and knew they were meant to be together, and spent the next 2 years bringing her back to this country. And now the mum is obviously amazing, and the little girl's amazing. She does everything. I think she's in Girl Guides or Brownies. She goes swimming. She plays rugby. Yeah. She leads a totally normal life. So I wrote that story, and to me, it's a real responsibility. So as well as reading the copy, I asked to see the proof, and I wasn't happy with the headline. And for that, I did go to the wall and we got it changed because I wanted her to like everything. And that was quite hard because it was someone I'd never written for that magazine before. Yeah,
but that's your friend, and your
that's
friendship,
my friend.
I would think, comes first.
Exactly, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
that's actually very brave to do. Well, I think in your position, that's
I don't know. I'd do it again.
You can't leave that story. But yeah, I can see.
But it was too good. It was too good and too wonderful. And also, she was donating the money she got paid to the orphanage.
She's amazing.
She is amazing. So some stories you just really want to tell. But
that's good though that you felt you could push your corner and say, actually, no, I feel very strongly this needs to be changed, and then they take it on board.
Yeah, I think that's only, as I say, with experience that you feel you can stick your neck out. I also think it's that old adage of if something is wrong, you will get listened to a lot more if you suggest how to fix it.
Yeah.
So I suggested a new headline, and that was the one they ran with. So, if you don't like something or anything, if you can come up with a solution. And that's always the way, in fact, with anything, magazines and newspapers. If something isn't working, don't just say it's not working, say we could do this.
Yeah.
And I have actually used that a lot since, I might get a commission and that's not working. Rather than just say it isn't, I will suggest 3 other ways we could perhaps do it.
Yeah.
And usually that'll get taken up. But again, you learn all this, and you do have to develop a bit of a tough skin, particularly as a freelancer, and you have to think things aren't personal.
Yes, that's one of the
It's really hard.
That's the earliest lesson I ever learned, is that I've told this story before, but Alison Davidson was doing she was a freelancer on the magazine I was my very first magazine, and the editor didn't like something she'd styled, and I was like, oh my god, I'd be so upset if she talked to me like that. And Alison was like, it's just cushions and table settings, it's nothing personal. And it's so true. It's like, it's just one person's vision and it's not the same as yours, and that's it. You just have to move past it.
Well, that's exactly it. And if they don't like what you've written, or they don't run what you've written, again, as long as, if it isn't because they thought it was poorly written, they just, they haven't got a use for it, or something else has happened, again, you have to move on and not dwell on it and see it as work. And it's very hard for something that you pour. It's a job you pour your passion into.
People, and you've got their story, and then you're saying, I'm sorry, but it's not going to run. It's quite hard, I should imagine.
But I mean, that's the same writing about interiors and things as well. I deal with a lot of PRs, and you get to know them, and they become your friends. And then if a piece doesn't run, that's really hard as well, because you feel you're letting them down, even though you haven't done anything. It's not your fault. So
yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I find it
you really want that piece to go in, and then when it doesn't, you're like, oh.
I find it really hard to detach myself, and it is something I've had to get better at. But it's developing a thick skin is such an essential skill, I think, if you're going to be a writer.
The thing I've learned very recently about newspapers is that newspapers don't always, if they commission you to do a feature and then it doesn't run, you what is it? You get a kill fee.
You get a kill fee. Well,
so it's not the full fee.
It depends. Different publications have different rules, but with most of the national newspapers, if your story doesn't run, you only get paid half until it does run,
and then you get the other half.
You would get the other half as and when it runs. Sometimes, though, they can hold on to things for up to a year. In fact, I had a piece about artificial plants that went in the paper last week, and I actually, we're May 2019 now. I actually wrote and shot that in February 2018.
Wow. So you just have to write that off, and then if it happens, great. If it
well over a year ago, that piece was written. And and you wait a sort of a decent amount of time, they'd say about a month to 8 weeks before you invoice for half, and then you just sit and hope.
Do they tell you when it runs? Do you have to keep your eyes peeled and then know to invoice
Usually
the
they'll
half?
run it past you, particularly if it involves prices or
Yeah,
products.
so things change in a year, big
because
time.
things
or
change.
availability.
Yeah, so they'll always ask you to update the prices or to find an alternative. So I usually know, but again, I don't actually find out really until I get the paper. That I'll get sent the proof, but not the headline. Obviously, I'll get sent the copy to read through and check there's no mistakes, but not the headlines. And then I just wait and see. And there have been, at the 11th hour, if something else happens, it'll get booted out because something's happened about Brexit or whatever. And again, you have to not take it personally, but you have to keep your fingers crossed because...
you could have like a little steady income coming through of all the features and stuff you've done in the past, ticking along.
Well, that does happen, and that's quite nice.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's great.
But one piece of advice I'd say is, if you're writing for a publication that has that as a policy, some will just pay you regardless. When you've written it, they like it, it's all fine, they'll pay you. Others will do the kill fee thing. Others will only pay you when the magazine comes out.
Yeah, which is what magazines are doing a lot of now, pay on publication, which is causing all sorts of trouble with people shooting Christmas now. We're in May, people have already been shooting Christmas, not going to get paid till October, November.
Yeah, which is again why you sort of need to have a steady trickle so that the things that are delayed from 3 months ago, you're getting paid now.
Yeah, and then you've
always got a stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the way I kind of see it, if I take on a job that is for someone who only pays half in the beginning, I only see that. I look at that as the final fee, and I think if I get the other half, that's a bonus. Yeah. So I think, is it worth my time doing this for half the fee? And if it is, then I'll take it on.
Yeah, that's a very healthy way of looking at it, I think.
Yeah. Again, born out of experience.
Yes. Listen up, people. This is how to do it. So, if someone wanted to become a writer, what advice would you give them? What would they need to do to get into writing?
Well, I think it's very hard to just walk into a job these days. I mean, it was hard back in the day when I was starting out, but practice is the best advice I can give. Practice with work experience if you can get it. I mean, if you're in another job already, I've got a friend who did this. She used her holiday entitlement. She would take a week off work and go and sort of do work experience as an adult for a magazine or a newspaper. Write a blog. It's a no-brainer. You've got to write a blog, and as I sort of said before, see it as your own kind of magazine and treat it as such. Do it regularly. Think about regular features and things you might put on there. Think about the tone of voice you're going to write in. Think about what you're giving the reader. Every time you write a blog post, it should, obviously you want to talk about yourself and what you're doing, but it should give the reader something. The reader should come away afterwards with a tip or a piece of advice or a product they might want to buy, or have read something really interesting that they're going to go away and think about. So see it as your own shop window, really. Same with Instagram. Don't just write one word captions. Think about your captions, craft them, think about a word count, think about not repeating the same word twice, all that kind of thing. All the skills that you'll need as a writer is the perfect way to practice. It's self-publishing, really. So I would say definitely do that. And also, I got into journalism really by writing in on spec, and it's kind of a controversial topic. People always say, don't write in on spec, but that's how I got into it. I had a friend who started writing for the NME, and she loved the NME, really wanted to work for them, and had written in with ideas and had never heard back. So she wrote some reviews in their style. She really studied the NME, looked at the tone of voice they used, how long their pieces were, what kind of bands they would cover, that kind of thing. And she wrote a couple of pieces, sent them in, someone saw them, liked them, and then she started working for them. So back in the day, that's what I did. I loved Minx magazine, which older listeners may remember, was a really cool monthly magazine, and I was obsessed with Minx. So I studied it, looked at their little news pieces at the front and thought, I'll send something in. And I remember I worked on a little piece. It was about my first crush, which was Shakin' Stevens. And I wrote a little piece about my first crush, and I worked on it every night. I would leave it and then come back to it.
Yeah.
Made sure it was just the right word count, just the right tone. Sent it in, and their features editor there liked it. Rang me up, and I was very lucky, took me under her wing and said, what else can you write about? And I started doing city guides for them. I did little fun news pieces, and it kind of sort of spun from there, really. And I'm sure it was those pieces of work that helped me get into my postgrad course. But I mean, there's no different now as an adult freelancing, really. I'll send in ideas, or I'll say I've got, I did some styling shoots for DFS a while back. I sent the pictures in to a homes mag and said, could you use these? You can have them for free if I can write the copy.
Yeah.
And they said yes. So I would say it's not always going to get you anywhere, but sometimes if you've got the confidence to go for it and you've really studied and looked at their style, writing in on spec can also be a good idea.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like, just be brave and put yourself out there.
Step
outside your comfort zone and go for it, really.
You have to put yourself out there. You have to, even if you're not a very confident person, you have to kind of develop that kind of fake confidence to do it. And you never know. I mean, you could end up, writing for your dream title.
Yeah, exactly. My current quote is, act before you think. Do the thing before you think about why you shouldn't be doing
Very
it.
good.
And that, I think, is what you do when you're scared to send something off to an editor for the first time, or even fifth time. You've got to just put it out there.
And have confidence in yourself. Believe in yourself. And if you've done the background work and you've done your research, there's no reason why not. Yeah,
and there's plenty of places you can do that, because you can write for people's magazines, but you can also write online for those magazines as well.
Absolutely.
So there's so many different avenues now.
The internet has opened that up. There's no excuse for not getting out there and sending stuff in and giving it a go. And somebody somewhere will take a chance on you.
Yeah, very good advice. Thank you. Have you ever regretted doing any of these features, because they're so personal?
I mean, obviously with interiors, probably not. They're all great. I love all my homes and interiors features.
I think it's more the people sort of side.
Yeah,
of things,
the people ones, you regret it if they're unhappy. But I'd say 98% of the time, the people who I've chatted to have been happy.
Yeah.
But that's because I've really taken the time and cared to make sure they're happy. Funnily enough, I think I mentioned to you briefly the other day.
About that
I know what you're talking about. I did a feature on foot reading, which is like palm reading, where you can. There's a lady who supposedly can tell your future by looking at your feet and the lines on your feet and where your toes are and all this kind of thing. So I did a feature for a newspaper where I visited a foot reader. I had my hair and makeup, which was like makeup on my toes. Had my nails done.
Have makeup on your toes?
Makeup on my toes. Well, no,
take the shine off, yeah?
Yeah. A little bit of powder. No, there was a little bit of powder and toenail varnish. So my feet were looking the best they could, but they are not by any means the world's most attractive feet. And I had to have them shot quite close up with this woman holding them, and she had to be looking at my feet with a studied look, and so the piece went in, and it was fun. Everybody liked it. Kind of thought that was it. I am still now, and that was about 5 years ago, getting random emails from people who've tracked me down through my website or my blog or through Instagram or through Googling, who have foot fetishes.
Yes.
And and I get requests for photo shoots.
Of your feet?
Of my feet, yes. And private photo shoots with my feet, or pictures of my... Right, have we got some updated photos of your feet? What are your feet doing now? And
did the lady who was reading your feet tell you this was coming?
No, she did not.
She did not warn you of this?
She did not warn me of this, no. And, I have, and people asking ruder things than that, what they would like.
5 years, though, that's insane.
I know.
They're still coming for your feet after 5 years.
But it shows you things you do on the internet stay around.
Yes. Your feet will be there
my
forever.
Feet stay around. Exactly. So, I mean, that relates to anything, doesn't it?
Yeah,
whatever
absolutely.
you do, it's now recorded for life on the internet. So my feet are there. But I mean, they were looking good. At least they were, they were the best they could be. Good. But yeah, it still surprises me. I mean, people still contact me now to ask if the aerobics still worked.
And when was that?
Yeah. That was when I just had my son.
This one.
So about 7 years ago. I still get the odd random email. I'd say, I don't know, a couple of times a year. No, I'm not still doing I've also since then had 2 kids, and I probably have terrible posture, so I can't. I tell them I don't know.
Yeah,
is my honest.
You've done quite
response.
a lot of those sorts of features where you are like. I remember the one you did with the bed. You went and slept in the store
that was
to
great.
check out beds.
Button and Sprung, yeah.
That was it,
They had this amazing showroom where you can actually test beds out rather than having to, sort of lie for a few minutes under a sort of sharp-suited salesman, like watching you lie down on a bed, which is just not the way to choose a mattress.
Yeah.
So they've got a private room with all the mattresses, and you can spend up to 3 hours up there if you want. They can set an alarm, dim the lights.
So is it at night time? They do it
No, it's in daytime. In the daytime,
yeah. Have a little power nap sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a great idea. So I got to go there, but of course because it was for a newspaper, I put on my pyjamas and my sleep mask.
Had your toes done again.
Yeah, did have the toes done again. Yeah, had a bit of a manicure and a pedicure. That was good fun.
Yeah, they're really good fun. I love watching
They
those.
were, and I learned something too. I actually went back there a few weeks ago to buy a new mattress for my bed, so they converted me.
Yeah,
that's the only danger as well. Doing this job, you see all the things that you really want to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know what you're doing when you do a how to choose a bed feature. You do know.
Now I think I need to choose a new bed.
I used to do a lot of cleaning features, and the whole bed bug thing. I just have to not think about what I know about bed bugs because otherwise I would never get in my bed.
Oh, I did one on steam cleaning. That was good. And I have got a steam cleaner.
In fact, you know what? Something you did on Instagram. We should talk about your Instagram. But you did that cleaning product for your shower, or was it grout or something? And I was like, oh yeah, we'll see what happens here. It was like, oh my god, that stuff was amazing.
I love a good cleaning product.
Can you remember what it was called?
Oh yes, I do.
Because we're in the southeast.
Lime scale remover. It's Kilrock. Kilrock limescale removing gel.
We're in a really hard water area down here in the southeast, and actually limescale is an absolute nightmare. And I was watching you doing that. I was like, oh my god, I've got to have that.
It's amazing, and because it's in a gel, it stays on. Oh, honestly, they should be paying me to promote it. Really,
ambassador right here.
Yeah,
beds and
Mrs. Hinch, watch out.
So, we were just talking about your Instagram. So on Instagram, you are Woody Jen, which I mentioned at the beginning.
Yeah.
You've got a little bit of a update coming on in your house soon, so I'm quite looking forward to watching that.
Yeah, we are about to, at the beginning of June, renovate the whole downstairs floor of the house. We're doing what most builders and people think is madness, and partitioning a through room. And normally people want to do it the other way around. At least that's what all the builders tell me.
Yeah, but you do what's right for your
what? You want to do what? So we're petitioning our living room, dining room space, and then we're knocking through from the kitchen to the dining room to sort of create a eating kitchen diner. We had this is a project that's been planning for about 2 years, and we had been hoping to build out to the side, but it's too expensive. And I think that's one thing I really get. You see all these people doing their dream houses on Instagram, and you think, wow. And do you know what? It's not always real life.
No, and it's a hell of a lot of debt going on behind the scenes there.
Yeah. And we just decided it wasn't worth pushing ourselves to do something that we might later regret. And so now we're renovating the space we have. And I'm actually really happy with that.
Yeah, what you've been talking about sounds really
I'm
great.
really excited. And I mean, it's going to be, new floors and a new kitchen.
Your kitchen's a really good size anyway, so actually...
Yeah,
it's not like you've got a tiny little...
It's using the space smarter.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Our kitchen doesn't have any heating at the moment, and we've been here 9 years, and that's 9 winters where you can see your own breath in the kitchen, which is not a good thing. No. And the floor is concrete built on mud, and so everything's kind of damp, and no matter what you do, the inside, some of the cupboards still smells mouldy, despite us having changed the backs and replastered over the years. So it's been a long time coming. So I tell myself there are sensible practical reasons. It's not just to get a lovely new kitchen, although I am really excited about getting a lovely new kitchen. But as with anybody who renovates, I've got things like, a husband who's not a big fan of colour. I've got kids who are messy and dirty and throw things all over the place. So you've got all these considerations as well. It's never... If we could there's always compromises.
We should get rid of the kids and the husband. We'd be absolutely fine, wouldn't we?
Yeah, exactly. Then go and live somewhere else, and
or just
come and visit the
perfect
house. Yeah, exactly. No, so it's going to be a big job, and it's going to be messy, and it's going to be quite stressful.
It's going to be beautiful.
And then it's going to be beautiful, So no, I shall be documenting it.
Yeah, so everyone should watch you on Woody Jen so they can see it all happening.
Oh,
You're very good on Instagram. You share it's dangerous. There are certain people I know, if I'm trying not to spend any money, I mustn't watch, and you're one of them. Because you always in... the Sainsbury's that's quite near here.
Oh, yes.
It's like one of the flagship stores, and it's such a good one. Like, I go in there going, don't look at the homewares, just look at the clothes, go and get your cucumber. It's like, it's so good, isn't it? And they've really upped their game, and then you all share something, and I'm like, no, I don't need another wooden box. Yes, I need that wooden box.
You're really
good at that.
I quite enjoy Instagram stories from that point of view, because I kind of try and see it a bit like a little magazine, and sort of sharing good stuff I've seen, or sharing tips like my cleaning tips or something.
But I have that in the back of my head now, so and that was months ago, but it's stored away, so I know, I'll go and check out what Jen did.
But I love going around a shop and just sort of doing my sort of top 5 picks or something like that. And again, I suppose it's like, I like doing gift guides. It's like a mini gift guide. Yeah. But so I do really enjoy the stories. And I think we were saying that the feed seems to have, people don't seem to be as interested in the pictures on your feed anymore, but I still curate it and try and make it look all pretty. Just for me, it's like a hobby. I think it's really good fun, and I think people shouldn't lose the fun of Instagram, really.
No, that's exactly right. It becomes a chore. It's like, well, you won't do it if it's a chore, will you? Sometimes you just need to step away and just do it when you've got something to say, and when you enjoy it. Yeah.
And for me, it's like having my own little personal magazine. That it's wonderful if anybody wants to kind of, join in and share. And I really genuinely love it if anybody sends me a message or asks for my advice. So please feel free.
Yeah. I will put all the links in the show notes, obviously. If anyone wants to find Jen in fact, they'll be if you're listening to this on an iTunes, when people scroll down through the show notes, you can click right through from there. So I don't know if people know that, but so if you're on your phone, they can find you right now.
Wow.
So what's next, or what are you working on now?
Well,
we're just back from bank holiday weekend. I've got to say, I'm very impressed that you could see me first thing, because my God, I'm so not ready for this week yet.
Well, I filed a feature this morning, so I was all ready.
Feet up for the rest of the day.
No, I'm writing some content for a homes brands website. I've got an exciting thing coming up for Good Homes. I've got various things for female in the Daily Mail. Plus, today I'm going to be researching sinks and taps. I've got to ring up the council about whether we need our door to be a half-hour fire door or an hour fire door. Really interesting things like that. And I've got to find someone to lay my new floor. So, juggling. And then...
very big list of things
pick up the kids, do all of that. Yeah.
I should probably get out of your hair then.
That's all right. It's been a pleasure.
It's been so much fun, Jenny. Thank you so much for having me round. It's been really good. I really like talking to people who do things from another point of view, because when I write a feature, it's to go with the images sort of thing, but your side of things is so much more in depth. It's really interesting to hear how you do it. So thank you very much for sharing that.
Oh, it's been good fun. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Inside Stylist podcast. You'll find all the details from today's show over on the show notes at insidestylist.com. If you enjoy the show, I'd love it if you would head on over to iTunes and rate and review it. It's the best way to help other people find the show, and I'd really appreciate it. Until next time, bye for now.